I've asked Eric to share with you some applications for mind mapping specifically for teachers, and while he's telling you his ideas, I'll make a mind map. Okay, Eric.
Well, there's so many applications, it's exciting just to even start brainstorming them all. Every time I do a workshop on them and I let teachers brainstorm all the applications, we come up with dozens of them. I'll just give 3 of my favorite uses for mind mapping. The first one I think that's really good is just for discovery. When you start off a new unit, let students work in pairs or in cooperative groups or in teams. Give them a big piece of paper and let them put down on a piece of paper everything that they already know about that subject matter. It gives students a chance to start establishing, first of all, that they do know things, and secondly, that there's a lot of things that they would like to know more about. So it really gets their creative juices going, and it starts letting you know as the teacher. It lets you know, what do the students already know? So when you begin to teach the unit, you can make sure that you avoid the student's biggest nightmare, which is boredom. And it lets you teach to the things that they're most interested in. The second application that I think is really terrific, it's one that I got from a math teacher, and his name is Viktor Shatalov. He was one of the best math teachers in the world. What Shatalov did that was unusual was that in his college-level math classes, what he would do was when students would come back to class, he'd ask them to fill out a mind map based on yesterday's class or the previous one. Usually it'd be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so that he'd have them come back and mind map what they learned in the previous class. So the students would take maybe 5 minutes or so, and they would real quickly put together a mind map based on their previous class. Then what the teacher would do is real quickly sort the mind maps into 2 categories, either yays or nays. When he sorted them, because the teacher knew the content so well, what the teacher was able to do was to be able to say, this student has it, this doesn't, this has it, this doesn't. And so the teacher would end up with a stack of mind maps. 2 of them, one that he could use for just knowing what the students were missing, what the gaps were, and the second one was he knew what the students already knew. So guess how he started off his class? He would simply teach from the stack of mind maps that showed the gaps or the missing information. And so every single class, he made sure that he filled in the gaps or the misunderstandings or the errors from the previous class. Because math is one of those subjects that if you start getting behind, after a while, there isn't a way on earth you can catch up. So he made sure his students never fell far behind. Then the way he would start off his class after he had taught into the gaps and filled in that missing information was he would put a sketchy, just a blank map up on the chalkboard with the branches on it, and he would lecture, and students would fill in the details on that mind map that he had first presented, so that he was always using mind maps in this cycle. The first of it was find out what they didn't know, then he would correct that and fill in the information. The second was that he would start off with a sketchy overview of a mind map. And the third thing was that he filled in the details as the students learned them during the class.
Many of my adult students say to me, this mind mapping's great, I just wish I'd known it when I was in school. You'll find mapping is very valuable not only with grade school and junior high students, but high school and college as well.
I'm 17 and I find mind mapping very useful. This is one of the maps that I've made of some of the uses. One of the ways I use mind mapping is in school. Studying for tests, it helps my memory a lot, or taking notes, and it's easy to fit all the information into one page instead of writing sheets and sheets of notes. It's all condensed, and with symbols it keys the memory in. Another way is thinking on paper, just thinking out loud, things I'm unclear with, things I need to do, the pros and cons of things, writing them down about how I'm feeling or the things I should do. And the third way is in life and volunteering, the volunteering that I do, it's helpful for mapping out fundraising ideas, planning things, or even clients who are having problems. Seeing everything on a map helps clear things up. Weighing out the pros and cons of things. There are many uses for mind mapping. I hope you find some too.
I would like you now to think about the uses of mind mapping that you're really interested in. It may be that you're most interested in teaching your students. It may be that you have ideas for using mind mapping in your personal life to make some plans or set some goals. Take a piece of paper, turn the video off for a few minutes, and map out your ideas for the uses of mind mapping. Include both school uses and personal uses, and think in terms of lifespan learning, the opportunity to learn from any experience. Then come back to the video. You've just completed a mind map about the uses of mind mapping. If you're working with anyone else, the two of you might want to compare your maps and add to each other's maps with new ideas. Take a look at the map you made and decide which of the uses of mind mapping you would like to try first. Make yourself a promise that you're going to practice. Take a yellow highlighter or draw a little star next to the use that you'd like to try. Remember that each time you try mind mapping, it becomes easier, more fun, and more efficient. It's very important that you practice this new skill. What a glorious picture I see. Students working together creating maps. Everyone's working with symbols. You're drawing pictures, putting your ideas on paper, using key words, getting the big picture, looking at relationships, looking at patterns. Your students are understanding what's being presented to them and giving back to you wonderful visions of their understanding. This is a wonderful picture, and for you and your students, I can see nothing but a fabulous future.